And welcome into Getting Help from Uncle Sam, or when we do something in the state of Alabama, we call it Getting Help from Auntie Alabama. And of course, we're very fortunate in the state of Alabama to have a very, very well-respected Alabama Securities Commission. Normally, we hear about them doing things in the area of securities, but today we're going to be talking about their role that they had in forming laws that affect elder abuse. And our guest is Amanda Senn. And Amanda, you are the General Counsel for the Alabama Securities Commission. You're doing a lot of trials most of the time, huh?
Yes, these days we are. Thank you.
But you know, you've worked for the health department also.
That's correct.
And you've worked in the areas of elder care and elder abuse. And you guys were very instrumental when the law came to pass, weren't you?
Yes, the Protecting Alabama's Elders Act was passed in late 2013 with the help of Representative Paul DeMarco and Senator Cam Ward. And our director, Joe Borg, was instrumental in getting that legislation passed as well.
Well, you know, it's real funny because top of the mind a lot of times we talk about the fact that child abuse, and you know, we can't do these things, these kids are helpless and all this other, but on the other end of the spectrum, people that as they're aging, they get into that same realm, don't they?
They do. Studies show that as you age, and if we're all lucky, hopefully we'll all age, you start regressing. You are not there. No, you're as old as you feel.
Thank you.
And so you start regressing and lose some of that cognitive ability. So somebody's looking out for you at the Alabama Securities Commission.
Good. Well, you know, and two of the things I think that come top of the mind are, of course, dementia and Alzheimer's. And those are two things that can be very devastating. But that's also a time when people want to prey on the elderly, isn't it?
That's right, yes. And my grandmother suffers from Alzheimer's. So every time I meet a victim or investor, I think about my grandparents as well, or your grandparents, you know, anybody's grandparents. We see cases where we have a guardian or someone granted a power of attorney under agent of a power of attorney, form a relationship with an elderly victim or somebody with cognitive impairment and start taking advantage of them.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the biggest thing I think is the fact that normally as these people age, they still understand the fact that they need money.
Absolutely.
You know, even though they're doing that, and they have a fear that whatever they have is going to run out, and that's normally the time somebody's going to prey on them, isn't it?
It is, and it's one of the risk factors we describe when speaking to elder groups or senior citizens groups, and that seniors are nervous that their monies are going to run out and they'll be left impoverished. So when somebody approaches them with this offer promising exorbitant returns, 20% returns, 100% returns on some of their money, sometimes they jump to it out of fear that they'll lose or that they'll run out of money, and that this is an opportunity for them to make more money to live on. Now,
obviously, as people get older, sometimes that they're put into the care of somebody else, especially when it takes the toll of Alzheimer's or dementia. And that's generally a time that caregiver can cause a lot of that abuse.
Yes. As I mentioned earlier, some of these caregivers form trusting relationships with the person they're taking care of or the senior citizen, and it's usually out of a relationship of trust that financial exploitation occurs, or the guardian has control of the bank account under a power of attorney and is authorized to pay certain expenses, but at some point the guardian pulls money out for her personal expenditures, and we've seen cases where entire retirement accounts have been liquidated or CDs cashed out, savings accounts drained by these individuals.
Well, that's amazing. And then, of course, you do hear the stories then that the person that's the caregiver is really not taking care of that person, and they're not getting their food.
Right.
I mean, there's just the stories are terrible.
Absolutely, and when we get a case like that, it's either from DHR, Department of Human Resources, or if it comes to us initially, we'll open an investigation to the financial exploitation and then contact other state agencies and get them involved as well.
What should our viewers do if they suspect that there's some elder abuse happening in some area?
Call us, 1-800 222-1253.
Okay.
Contact us anytime, or you can contact the Department of Human Resources or Senior Services, and we'll look into every complaint. And if it's not something that we have jurisdiction to investigate, then we'll get it to the right agency.
Good. Well, listen, we appreciate you being with us.
Thank you.
This is very informative, and obviously we are very proud of the work that the Alabama Securities Commission does, and we need to let our viewers know that most of the fees that make your department run do not come from tax money, they come from securities fees.
That's correct. Yeah, licensing and registration fees for individuals that are in the securities industry. So we don't take from the general fund. We generate our own fees, and we use that.
Yeah, we put some back even
We
occasionally.
do put some back.
Okay,
that's right.
But we won't tell. We're going to be quiet about that because they're looking for a lot of money right
that's
now.
That's right.
And just remember this: if you know anybody that you think could be a victim of elder abuse, make sure that you get a hold of the proper authorities and get it nipped in the bud right at the beginning. And we'll be right back right after this.